One stormy night at the hospital, chaos filled the air as a pregnant woman was rushed inside. She was supposed to have her baby later, but something shocking happened. She had been struck by lightning. This strange accident made her go into labor early. Hours went by, and finally, the doctor came out with heartbreaking news for her husband, that she didn't survive giving birth. The doctor reassured husband that the baby was alive, but warned that something seemed unusual about him. Husband, confused and scared, demanded to see his son. The doctor led him to a room where the baby was lying in a strange-looking bed called an incubator. The tiny baby was connected to wires, and machines hummed softly nearby, keeping track of his brain activity. When man laid eyes on the baby, his face changed. The baby didn't look like other babies. His skin was pale, almost glowing, with no color at all. The doctor explained this was due to albinism, a condition that made the baby's body lack pigmentation. But Greg couldn't accept it. Tears ran down his face as he refused to believe the baby was his. The baby, as if sensing man's emotions, started crying. His cries grew louder, almost echoing the sadness in the room. The machines beeped wildly, and the baby's brain activity spiked, as though his tiny mind was reaching out in pain. As man was led away, the strange readings on the monitor only became more intense. Something extraordinary was happening, but no one could explain what. Nearly 20 years later, Sheriff made a call that would change everything. He contacted Emily, the director of the local youth shelter, and asked her to come to an old farmhouse. A man had died there just the night before, and neighbors had found him early that morning. Inside the house, the sheriff pointed out a broken cup on the floor of the living room. He had a heart attack, the sheriff explained. But what he said next made Emily uneasy. There was a boy hiding in the basement, and he refused to come out. Sheriff didn't know what to do, and thought Emily might be able to help. The neighbors had only glimpsed the boy over the years. They said he looked strange, even disfigured. The sheriff suspected the boy was the man's grandson, hidden away in the basement to keep others from seeing him. Slowly, they made their way downstairs, every step filled with tension. In the shadows, they spotted the boy crouched in a corner, his pale figure barely visible. Emily reached out gently, coaxing him into the light. Both she and the sheriff gasped. The boy's skin was completely white, hairless, and his eyes glowed an eerie purple. Emily asked for his name, and he softly replied, "My grandparents called me Powder, but my real name is Ethan." Sheriff left to get food, giving Emily time to talk to Ethan. She asked why he didn't call for help when his grandfather collapsed. Ethan explained, "Granddad told me if anyone saw me, they'd take me away." He also admitted he had never been to school, but had read every book in the basement. Emily handed him a book and remarked it was one that even college students found hard. Ethan asked her to pick a page. He started telling what's written on the page. Emily was shocked by this. When they finally stepped outside, something bizarre happened. Police sirens and radios began blaring and malfunctioning all at once. It was as if Ethan's presence disrupted everything. Sheriff noticed another strange detail. The roof of the house was lined with at least 12 lightning rods, as though the old man had been preparing for something unusual. Later, Officer mentioned feeling uneasy about Ethan. He shared a troubling detail. Although the old man had died of a heart attack, his heart showed signs of fibrillation, as if he'd been electrocuted. Meanwhile, Emily drove Ethan to the youth shelter. When they arrived, the other kids froze, staring at him. Inside, Emily called her supervisor to arrange for Ethan to take an IQ test. During lunch, Ethan sat alone, an easy target for a group of teens. One of them, Tyler, approached and started mocking Ethan's unusual looks. Tyler sneered, "New kids have to wear a spoon," and instructed his friend Sam to show him how. Sam balanced the spoon on his nose while the group roared with laughter. all eyes turning to Ethan, waiting to see what he would do next. Ethan takes the spoon from Tyler's hand, and something unbelievable happens. The spoon starts moving on its own, standing upright on the table as if held by an invisible force. Other spoons from nearby slide across the table, stacking on top of each other, forming a tower. The kids back away in fear, their laughter turning into gasps. Tyler's fear quickly changes to anger. "What kind of freak are you?" he shouts, glaring at Ethan. Meanwhile, Sheriff returns home after a long day. His son is waiting at the front door, but Sheriff doesn't even glance at him. It's clear there's tension between them. Ignoring son completely, Sheriff goes inside to check on his wife. She's gravely ill, lying still in her bed, her eyes closed and unable to speak. The next morning, the doctor confirms that Ethan is in perfect health despite everything. Emily asks if he would like to go to school. Ethan hesitates, but agrees. On his first day in science class, Professor demonstrates how electricity moves. He dims the lights and switches on a machine with glowing parts. As the demonstration begins, Ethan starts to feel strange. His hands grip the desk tightly, and his body begins to shake uncontrollably. The machine produces sparks that grow brighter and louder until a powerful bolt of electricity shoots out, striking Ethan in the chest. The energy surges through his body from one nipple and exits through his other nipple, creating a circuit back to the machine. Ethan is lifted out of his chair, hovering in the air, surrounded by crackling energy. Professor rushes to unplug the machine, but can't. In a panic, he grabs a chair and smashes the machine to pieces. Ethan collapses onto the floor as the other students run out of the room, terrified. Professor kneels beside him and touches his shoulder. To his shock, all the hairs on his arm stand up as if charged by an invisible force. Ethan remains unconscious, caught in some strange state. At the hospital, Doctor listens skeptically as Professor tries to explain what happened. The doctor doesn't believe it. A shock that strong should have caused burns or serious harm, he says. But Ethan appears perfectly fine. Professor begins to wonder if Ethan's body works differently, perhaps conducting electricity in a unique way. He suggests that something called electrolysis might explain why Ethan doesn't grow hair. Before they can discuss further, a nurse interrupts with startling news. Ethan has run away from the hospital. On his way back to his grandfather's house, Ethan encounters Nova, a girl from his class who witnessed the strange event. They talk quietly while walking together. Ethan notices the neighbors staring at him and whispers to Nova, "I can hear their thoughts." Even the ones they don't know they're thinking. Nova looks uneasy. She tells him he's probably imagining things because of the shock, but Ethan insists he's not. Nova gives him directions to the interstate bridge, and Ethan continues his journey. As he walks across the bridge, Sheriff and officer catch up to him. They stop him in his tracks, firmly but gently making him turn back. Something about Ethan's quiet determination leaves them unsettled, as if they know his story is far from over. At school, Ethan is called to the conference room to hear the results of his IQ test. Dr. Stipler, the chairman, looks amazed as he tells Ethan, "Your IQ is higher than anything we've ever seen." It's off the charts, but Ethan, unfazed, simply says he wants to return to his grandfather's house. Emily gently breaks the bad news. The bank owns the house now, and he can't go back. The next day, Sheriff and officer take the kids from the youth shelter on a camping trip in the woods. While the other kids laugh and play, Ethan sits quietly, far from the group. Sheriff notices and joins him. As dark clouds gather, Ethan looks uneasy. "When I hear thunder, I can feel it inside me," he says. "And when lightning strikes, it feels like it's connected to me." Sheriff listens intrigued but unsure what Ethan means. The following morning, Ethan wanders deeper into the woods. Kneeling down, he presses his hands to the earth. Suddenly, small geckos creep toward him, surrounding him in a circle. Ethan gently picks one up, but the others scurry away, as if sensing something strange. He spots Tyler and Sam hiding behind a tree. "What are you doing here?" Ethan calls out. Tyler steps forward, holding a gun. "Freaks like you don't belong here," he says, pointing the weapon at Ethan. Before Tyler can act, a loud gunshot rings out from somewhere close. Startled, they all run toward the sound and find a group of boys standing over a deer, fatally wounded. Its chest heaves with labored breaths as it lies dying. Officer strides up, holding his rifle proudly. "Good shot," he brags, grinning over his kill. Ethan watches, tears welling in his eyes. The deer's pain feels unbearable, as if it's flowing into him. Kneeling beside the animal, he places one hand on its neck and grabs Officer's wrist with the other. Officer's smug grin vanishes. A sudden wave of terror and agony washes over him. He collapses to the ground, trembling, as Ethan channels the deer's suffering into him. Officer gasps for air, overwhelmed by the experience. Tyler raises the gun at Ethan, shouting, "Let go!" But Ethan stares fearlessly into the barrel. Just as Tyler pulls the trigger, Sam leaps forward, knocking the gun away and saving Ethan's life. Officer is so shaken that he tries to run into the woods, but the group restrains him, terrified of what just happened. Later, Emily approaches Ethan, desperate to understand. "What happened back there?" she asks. Ethan only repeats his wish to go home. Emily insists she wants to help him, claiming to be his friend. Her words ignite a deep anger in Ethan. "Friends don't take you away from home. They don't lock you up," he shouts. As he steps forward, the lights on the wall flicker and explode. The glass on the door shatters into pieces, scattering across the floor. Without another word, Ethan storms out, leaving Emily shaken. That night, Sheriff returns home to more grim news. Doctor tells him that his wife's condition has worsened. "She's in more pain than ever," the doctor says. Sheriff sits by her bedside, confused and torn. Why is she holding on? He wonders aloud. What's keeping her here? The next day, during lunch at the youth center, Professor approaches Ethan. His voice is low and serious. "When I touched you in the classroom, I felt something powerful," he says. "It was like energy rushing through me, making me feel young again, like I was 20 years old." Professor shares a thought. Albert Einstein once said that if humans could unlock 100% of their brain power, they might become pure energy. "I think something happened to you, Ethan," Professor continues. "Your brain isn't like anyone else's. You're what we might all become one day." He pauses, then adds, "I want to be your friend, Ethan. There's so much I could learn from you." Ethan listens quietly, his face unreadable. But deep inside, he knows his abilities are both a gift and a curse. The next morning, Sheriff visits Officer to check on him. Something feels off right away. Officer has gotten rid of all his guns, even though hunting has always been his passion. Sheriff frowns, worried. As a police officer, he was refusing to carry a gun could make him a danger to himself and others. Outside, Officer finally explains. He talks about the moment Ethan grabbed his wrist after the deer was shot. "It wasn't just pain," Officer says with a haunted look. "I became the deer. I felt its fear, its sorrow, and even its last breath. It was like I was inside it, dying too." Sheriff listens closely, and an idea begins to form in his mind. That night, Sheriff approaches Ethan with a serious request. He asks Ethan to come to his house and leads him to his wife's bedside. Her face is pale, and she lies still, too weak to speak. "Can you talk to her? Find out what she needs to be at peace?" Sheriff asks hesitantly. Ethan places his hand gently on her forehead, his eyes closing as he concentrates. Moments later, he begins to speak, repeating her thoughts aloud. She reveals that she can't leave yet. "Sheriff, "You need to forgive our son," Ethan says. Sheriff's face tightens in resistance, but Ethan continues, channeling her thoughts. She recalls a day long ago when the family played together in the snow. She'd lost her wedding ring during their game, and Sheriff and little son spent hours searching for it. Day after day, son came home from school, determined to find the ring. Sheriff's expression softens as the memory floods back. Tears spill down Ethan's cheeks as he relays one final message. "She wants you to open the silver box son brought." Sheriff hesitates, but retrieves the box. Inside, he finds the ring, perfectly preserved. His emotions overwhelm him as he realizes son must have found it while working in their old garden. With trembling hands, Sheriff slips the ring onto his wife's finger. Ethan places one hand on her forehead and the other on Sheriff's wrist. Suddenly, Sheriff hears her voice in his mind. She assures him that everything will be all right. Sheriff embraces her, and in her final moment, she opens her eyes, smiling softly before passing away peacefully. Not long after, son rushes to the house. This time, Sheriff greets him with open arms. He hugs his son tightly, tears streaming down both their faces as years of pain and regret melt away. A few days later, Ethan and Nova go to the county fair together. As they walk hand in hand, Ethan asks a question that's clearly been on his mind. "Do you think I'm ugly?" he asks, his voice quiet and unsure. "My dad always thought so." Nova looks at him with warmth. "You're not ugly," she says. "You have the most beautiful face I've ever seen." Then, she leans in and kisses him. But their tender moment is cut short when Nova's father spots them. Furious, he storms over and confronts Ethan, hurling cruel insults and treating him as if he's not even human. Emily arrives just in time to intervene, standing up to Nova's father. "You're out of line," she says sharply. But Nova's father refuses to back down, insulting Ethan one last time before dragging Nova away. Heartbroken and rejected, Ethan decides there's only one place he feels he belongs. He packs his few belongings and sets out to return to his granddad's old house, hoping to find the comfort and peace he had once known there. As Ethan leaves the shelter, a faint noise from the gym catches his attention. Curious, he steps inside and finds the other teens playing basketball. Before he can leave, Tyler notices him and approaches with a smirk. He snatches Ethan's hat, holding it high out of reach. Ethan calmly asks for it back, but Tyler sneers. If you want to take it, he dares Ethan to fight for it, mocking his quiet demeanor. Ethan looks at Tyler and, without warning, begins speaking about a memory Tyler had buried deep. He describes a day from Tyler's childhood when his stepdad ripped away a hat, a precious gift from his late father. "That hat was all you had left of him," Ethan says softly. Tyler's face darkens with anger, the memory cutting too close. He grabs Ethan and drags him outside as a storm brews overhead. Rain pours as Tyler and his friends shove Ethan to the ground. Tyler cruelly pulls off Ethan's clothes, mocking his pale skin. "You need some color," he jeers before throwing him into a muddy puddle. When they haul Ethan back up, Tyler delivers a final, biting remark. "You'll never belong with us." The words hit Ethan hard, filling him with a mix of sorrow and rage. The storm grows fiercer, and suddenly, a surge of energy explodes from Ethan, knocking everyone off their feet. Even Ethan collapses under the force. Sam, worried, rushes to check on Tyler. He realizes Tyler isn't breathing, his heart has stopped. Thinking fast, Ethan weakly crawls over and places his hands on Tyler's chest. Sparks flicker as he delivers a series of small electric shocks, and Tyler gasps back to life. The group stares in awe and fear. Sam helps Ethan up, and, realizing the danger Ethan is in, quickly sneaks him onto a van heading to his granddad's old farm. When Ethan arrives, his heart sinks. The house is empty, stripped of everything, even the books that once filled the basement. The place he once called home is no longer his. Emily arrives soon after and finds him sitting alone. She promises to help him find somewhere he can belong. Professor joins them, but before they can leave, Sheriff and Officer appear, ready to take Ethan back. Emily pleads with Sheriff to let him go. To her surprise, Sheriff agrees. As they talk, Ethan shares something that strikes a chord with Sheriff. When your wife passed, Ethan says, she didn't disappear. She went somewhere else. Sheriff's face softens, and for the first time in a long while, he smiles. Without warning, Ethan sprints into a nearby field, the storm raging above. Everyone follows, calling out to him, but he doesn't stop. The clouds part, and a blinding lightning bolt crashes down, striking Ethan directly in the chest. His body glows with a strange energy that grows brighter and brighter, spreading outward like ripples through the field. Then, as suddenly as it began, the light fades, and Ethan is gone. Everyone stares in stunned silence at the empty spot where he stood. The sky rumbles once more, a deep, echoing thunder, as if marking the end of something extraordinary. Ethan, it seems, has become one with the storm.